Spoiler alert. The following will contain spoilers for Loki.
What's up, everybody? It's me, E-Man from E-Man's Movie Reviews, and today we are going to talk about episode 4 of Loki. Talk about a comeback episode. I know a lot of people did not care for episode 3, and I understand, trust me, I do, but I'm going to try to show you how some elements of episode 3 actually could tie in to episode 4. But look, we got so many things, so many questions, so many shocking things that happen. We have got to dig into this. And of course, I am going to talk about that huge Nexus event that happened and break it all down. Let's get into it. We enter into an alternate timeline. A young Sylvie is minding her own business when Ravonna Renslayer, who at this time is a TVA agent, has arrested the young Asgardian for crimes against the sacred timeline. Sylvie goes through the processing and is about to face a TVA judge. Before she could be seen by the judge, Sylvie bites Renslayer and hits her with a Kirk Franklin stomp. She also manages to steal Renslayer's temp pad and escape through a time door. Back in the present day, Renslayer faces the Timekeepers. Now, a couple of things we got to address here. Now, first of all, did you notice that Sylvie is not actually a natural blonde? Which is kind of interesting to me. Maybe having dark hair is all a part of being a Loki. This also makes you wonder, why does she hate being a Loki? Why does she hate even being called a Loki? She went all this way to separate herself from that identity by changing her hair and her name. What's the identity issue behind all this? Well, I do think I might have a solid answer to this, but we'll get to that later. But something else I was wondering here was, why did Renslayer just let Sylvie escape? I mean, she didn't run after her or anything. She almost looked frozen. Maybe it was from embarrassment? I don't know. I wonder if they'll explain that later on because it just seemed kind of odd. Fun fact here though, her number as an agent was A23, same as the first issue where Ravonna made her debut in Avengers issue number 23, right alongside Kang the Conqueror. And of course, we finally get to see the Timekeepers, but did you notice all the smoke all around there? And look, I bet you there was some mirrors too. Come on now. You already know. Look, we gonna get to that in a minute. Mobius is speaking with Renslayer and he's requesting access to Agent C20. He wants to know what she saw with the variant, but Renslayer reveals that C20 is dead. She said that C20's mind got scrambled after being enchanted. She asked Mobius to keep this information to himself and to go find the Loki variants. Meanwhile, Loki and Sylvie are stuck on Lamentis 1, facing their impending doom. Sylvie recounts to Loki the events of her life and meeting the TVA. Back at the TVA, Hunter B-15 and Mobius are searching for variant activity to find the two Lokis. As Loki and Sylvie begin to prepare for their end, a branch in the timeline is created which alerts the TVA. Both Loki and Sylvie are arrested again. Loki and Sylvie sitting in a tree. Kissing. Okay, enough of that. Let's break down what Sylvie said to Loki and why this Nexus event actually got started. Firstly, I want you to think about the fact that Sylvie's been on the run from the TVA for a long time. Let's recall the fact that Loki is probably over 1,000 years old, so I'd imagine that Sylvie could be of similar age. With the TVA being able to exist outside of time, that means that Sylvie's been doing a lot of running for real. And then on top of that, to hear that she has to hide in apocalyptic events is even more sad to hear. Now, Sylvie also said that the universe wants to break free, so it manifests chaos, like making her the goddess of mischief. And that created a deviation from the sacred timeline. She's basically under the impression that her mere existence in itself was a deviation from the timeline, which is what prompted the TVA to come for her. And I found her thoughts on this to be kind of interesting because it almost reminded me of like what they were talking about in Jurassic Park. You know how like mankind tries to meddle with nature and of course life finds a way. In the same sense, the TVA are trying to force time and reality to bend to the wills of the quote-unquote timekeepers, but the universe still finds a way to throw a wrench in that plan. Now, the thing is, we have to remember that this is only from Sylvie's perspective. So maybe she's right, maybe she's wrong. We don't know for sure if her mere existence, as in being born a woman, for example, is what caused the Nexus event. I don't think that's actually the case, but again, this is just how she's taking it. However, if we really want to figure out what caused this Nexus event, I actually think that we have to pay attention to the running theme that's been in all the current episodes, and I want to say episode 3, which is the question of what makes a Loki a Loki? Now, my thought is that the reason why the TVA came to get Sylvie was because even as a child, at that moment, she decided to stop being a Loki. She wasn't following the Loki script. Instead of playing tricks on the Valkyrie or other people to seek attention, she emulated them. They were like her sheroes. Plus, from episode 3, we know that she was made aware of her adoption status, so there was no deeply unraveled seeds of resentment or insecurity within her either. It's possible that maybe she was on the road to becoming a hero. More importantly, she probably stopped being a narcissist. When she walked into the TVA and saw a variant that she didn't even know, getting their arm twisted and all, she screamed out for someone to help him. And that right there, I think, is the biggest clue of her no longer being a Loki. But let's compare this with the moment Loki and Sylvie had on the moon. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand that some people believe that, it was the love between Loki and Sylvie that spurned the Nexus event. And some people believe that, this was kind of like a self-love where Loki falls in love with himself. And that was part of the reason. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think I can just regulate it to only being love. I think it has to be a much more deeper love where not only do you care about the person, but you also have to put yourself first. Mainly because we've seen Loki. He's cared and loved for Thor. He's loved his mother. But I'm assuming he never put himself before them. So yeah, he might have had feelings for him, but it wasn't enough to cause a Nexus event. But now with him and Sylvie, it's kind of like, oh, I care about this person more than I care about myself. When you think of love, at its core, love is selfless. Love is a choice from one's own free will to care about the betterment of another person before your own. And that's the key. It's about putting others before you. When we compare Kid Sylvie's situation to this current one with Loki and Sylvie together, they both started putting each other before themselves in some way. And that apparently caused the Nexus event. Why? Because Loki is supposedly destined to be alone and conniving and narcissistic and basically put himself before others. But when Loki decides to stop being a narcissist and actually love or think about other people before himself and break the narrative about dying alone, because if you noticed, this was Sylvie and Loki getting ready to die together, then that's when Loki stops being a Loki. And of course, the sacred timeline simply can't have that. So in my opinion, I think that's what's really causing this Nexus event. When you stop being whatever your character is supposed to be, that is what will prompt a Nexus event or this variant energy to happen. Because think about it like this. Captain America is destined to be a good guy, right? He's destined to do all the right things. But what happens if Captain America decides to join Hydra? What happens if Captain America goes evil? Well, guess what? Boom, Nexus event. So whenever somebody diverges from the path that they're supposed to take, that's what causes the Nexus event. And in this case, and again, I always tell y'all, pay attention to what Marvel says, especially in the questions. When they keep asking you what makes a Loki, you have the old Mobius, you have the TVA. They're always telling Loki what he's supposed to be, evil, lying, betraying people, etc. And then you see the Loki variant going away from that. Whenever that happens, that's when you're going to have a divergence from the sacred timeline. That's just my thoughts on it. Let me know what you think in the comments about what you think really caused the Nexus event. Do you think it's what I'm talking about in terms of stop being a Loki? Or is it some other reason? Let me know what you think. Mobius is about to send Loki through a red time door, but not before Loki tells him that the TVA is lying to him. Loki finds himself in a time loop in Asgard during a period of time where he pulled a prank on Lady Sif by cutting her hair. Loki keeps on getting slapped a knee to the groin. Mobius pays Renslayer a visit to request the opportunity to interrogate Sylvie. However, in true blocker fashion, she is not allowing him to talk to her. Around the corner, Hunter B-15 is protecting Sylvie in another room. Loki gives up with Sif. He admits that he craves attention and he's a narcissist because he's afraid of being alone. She stops hitting him but tells him that he is still destined to be alone and always will be. In case you missed it, the conversation between Hunter B-15 and Mobius, this was a nice little Easter egg, when he mentioned that the TVA has brought in Kree, Titans, and vampires. Now, back in Thor Ragnarok, there was a quick joke about vampires, but no one took that seriously because it was more of a reference to Taika Waititi's past vampire movie. However, now with the announcement of Blade coming into the MCU, this vampire mention carries much more significance. Now, I wonder, what other Titans have they captured? Do you think it's possible that the TVA may have captured a variant of Thanos at some point in time? Better yet, we do have Eternals coming up, and Thanos does have a brother named Eros or Star Fox. Maybe he had a run-in with the TVA. Now, going back to that confrontation with Loki and Sif, this is where Loki was kind of admitting to his shortcomings and everything. And don't get me wrong, I'm like the first person. I love to learn about character developments and have all these little insights about them and stuff. But I'm kind of feeling as though Marvel might be playing it a little bit too much in terms of having Loki just freely admit everything. I mean, it's almost like this entire show is like a therapy session for Loki, and we keep getting like all these breakthrough moments with him. And again, I appreciate the fact that we're learning more about him, but I just kind of wish that Marvel would allow us to kind of learn about Loki more indirectly, maybe through other characters, maybe through other situations and scenarios. I just don't think that Loki always has to directly come out and say, hey, everybody, I'm a narcissist. I'm seeking attention. It's like, okay, we get it, but I think y'all could be a little bit more creative. That's all. Mobius re-enters to talk with Loki about what he meant when he said that the TVA was lying to him. He also wants to know what caused the Nexus event on Lamentis 1. Under the threat of going back to the time loop with Lady Sif, Loki lies to Mobius and says that he was in charge of everything the whole time. He also said that Sylvie was just a pawn in his plan. Well, Mobius informs him that she's already been pruned, and that news immediately gets Loki all in his feelings. Mobius catches on real quick and says that Loki has fallen for her. After some back and forth, Loki blurts out the truth that the TVA agents are all variants from past lives and have white memories. However, due to the many lies Loki has told before, Mobius doesn't believe him. Now, obviously, this revelation is going to weigh heavily on Mobius, and I think we've all been kind of waiting for Loki to reveal this truth to him. But it does make sense that Loki is not going to be believed by Mobius, because Loki essentially is the boy who cried wolf. However, we saw earlier on that there were already doubts forming up within Mobius. Plus, he viewed Loki as a friend, a bad friend, but a friend no less. And I think it's because of that friendship that Loki's last words stuck to him. He told Mobius that the worst things are the lies that he tells to himself. Now, this goes back to episode 2, where both of them were talking about free will and all that. Recall that Mobius was very content with just accepting what he's been told and his reality. And this is why I was talking about it's so important to realize Loki's questions and his skepticism, because now it's becoming a foundation for what's going to basically motivate Mobius into discovering the truth. Hunter B-15 enters into the interrogation room and opens up the door for her and Sylvie to escape. They go back to the apocalyptic event at the superstore. Sylvie reveals the truth that the TVA are all variants. They both revisit the past memory of B-15. Mobius is back in Renslayer's office signing some paperwork. He continues to ask her why he wasn't allowed to interrogate Sylvie. He also asked her about the situation with C-20. Now, she tries to comfort him by saying that she's just trying to protect him and that C-20 was just going crazy. Mobius decides to play it cool, and while her back was turned, he switches out his temp pad for Renslayer's. Later, he searches through the temp pad and finds a video of C-20's interrogation. In it, she talked about how she knows about her past life and memories and everything else that she saw during the enchantment. Ravonna quickly stops the tape. Look, all I know is at this point in the episode, I'm sitting here thinking like, yo, Mobius, bro, chill. Why you asking all these questions? Stop asking all these questions. But then when Ravonna started giving him the whole I care about you speech, you already knew something was up. The real question is, how much does Ravonna actually know? Does she know the truth that Mobius has been getting his mind erased? Maybe that's what she meant when she said that they have a special kind of friendship. And it could be hinting that Mobius really is the other quote-unquote favorite analyst, but he just doesn't know it because his mind's always being wiped. Anyway, the truth is slowly but surely coming out. Both Hunter 15 and Mobius are discovering it in different ways. I like what happened with B15 because now we see her coming around. Remember, she was going hard on the variants and she had a real discriminatory view about them. But now that she's discovered she's just like them, she's turned over a new leaf. Which is great because, look, whenever we're presented with new information, we should be willing to change our minds. At the same time, we have to see the fact that Renslayer is working on covering up the truth too. The same way she's been lying to Mobius about what happened to C20 is more than likely what she's been telling other TVA guards and agents too. And my suspicion is that this is probably why whenever you see, Hunter B15 or Mobius, trying to reveal the truth, this is probably why those other guards don't just, side up with them. They're probably also thinking, nah, Mobius is crazy, B15 is crazy, because Renslayer already told us that they were crazy. So I think that's one of the reasons why we don't see a TVA revolt happening yet. Mobius enters into the time loop cell. He asks Loki if he deserves to be alone and mentions that the connection between Loki and Sylvie could be the Nexus event that brings the TVA down. He confesses that Loki was right about the TVA and even gives Loki some encouraging words of affirmation. When they exit the time cell, Ravonna is there waiting for them with their guards. Mobius tells her that the one place he'd like to go is wherever or whenever he originally came from before the TVA captured him. She gives the order and prunes him. Mobius, no! Oh, my man didn't even get his jet ski! Ah! Oh my gosh, I did not see that coming. My man Mobius went down. Yo, when I tell you that was so shocking to me, I'm sitting here at 3 a.m. in the morning like, yo, this, great. I mean, that's some great television, right? Like, I did not see that coming, and I loved it. This kind of had me thinking, though, like, what was a better death, Mobius or Mufasa from The Lion King? Because I don't know. Both of them kind of got me at the same time. But Mobius did kind of confirm what I was talking about earlier on. He said that it was the connection between him and Sylvie that's going to be key in terms of bringing down the TVA. And pay attention to what he told Loki, in terms of them words of affirmation. He was like, hey, you can be whatever you want to be. You could even be a hero if you wanted to. And this is a very sharp contrast to what he told Loki in episode 1, where he was telling him that, like, no, like, you are supposed to be this, die, and that's it. Like, this is what the timeline says, and this is what you're supposed to be. And now he's pulling a full 180, and he's like, actually, you could do anything. So now even Mobius's beliefs have changed. How did you feel when Mobius got pruned? I mean, maybe you was like me and you got shocked. Maybe you saw it coming. I don't know who did. I didn't see it coming. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Loki is then escorted out to the elevators. Renslayer goes to Sylvie's interrogation room and discovers that B-15 was in there with her. Sylvie and Loki are brought to the elevator and escorted by Renslayer to meet the timekeepers. Sylvie asks Renslayer why she was taken as a child and what was the Nexus event. Renslayer says that she doesn't remember. The elevator doors open and we meet the timekeepers. Before they could be deleted, B-15 comes in and deactivates the time collars on Sylvie and Loki. A fight breaks out as the variants face off against Ravonna and the Minutemen. After defeating them, Sylvie beheads one of the timekeepers and we discover that they were ancient descendants of the Chuck E. Cheese band. Without any real answers as to who created the TVA, Loki now turns to Sylvie to tell her something. Before he could tell her, though, Renslayer prunes him from behind. Sylvie turns the tables on her and demands that she tell her everything. Wow. Wow. Are you serious? Yo, that whole scene was a doozy. Once again, first you hit me with Mobius. Now you hit me with Loki getting proof. Yo, this point, I'm sitting here just watching the show like, are you serious? But we have to talk about all the other stuff that happened. Now, did you notice back in the elevator when Renslayer smiled before she said she doesn't remember why Sylvie was arrested? I think that that's a sign that she did know, but she just didn't want to give Sylvie that satisfaction. Something else to kind of think about here is like, why did the Timekeepers even want to meet the Lokis if they were just going to get pruned anyway? Like, why didn't you just have them pruned? It's not like you asked the Lokis any certain questions or anything. Like, what was the point of that? But did you notice something else in the Timekeepers, like, office dwelling or whatever? Did you see all those red signs that were behind them? If you paid attention, those signs were not just behind the Timekeepers, but they were actually all over the place. So now I'm wondering if this could have been a rune similar to what we saw in WandaVision that prevented magic from happening. It seems like it to me, and that would be the only current explanation as to why magic doesn't work in the TVA. Keep in mind that magic in the MCU is just another form of science, and the TVA is one of the most scientifically advanced entities in the multiverse. So maybe the TVA actually know the science of magic and runes and all that, and maybe that's what they coded all around the area to stop the magic. Let's not forget that the writer for Loki is also the writer for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and we know Wanda is going to be in Doctor Strange, so maybe there's a connection with the TVA and magic. I'm just saying, I'm throwing it out there. Now, I'm not going to lie, this fight at the end was kind of weak. I mean, it looked a little too staged. I'm just saying, Marvel, y'all could have done a little better with this scene. We've seen you guys do better. But hey, well, what do we have here with these old fake Timekeepers? We finally see that it was all just a big lie. Loki once again asked the important questions when he asked who created the TVA. Now, as I've been saying for the longest, I still think that it's a Kang the Conqueror variant that's really pulling all the strings here. This is just like a Wizard of Oz type of deal in the works, more than likely. Now, I did hear some interesting theories out there. I mean, some people have thought that actually it could be a Loki variant that's actually running the TVA all this time. Now, here's the thing. I like that theory. It's a very entertaining and cool theory to think about, but I just don't get the feeling that they'll overdo the Loki thing that much. And I don't think it's actually Kang the Conqueror that's doing it because, as I've said before, they're not going to go put this big bad villain of Kang the Conqueror into a Loki show. We've seen this pattern already. They're going to have levels to all of this stuff. These Disney Plus shows do not sit here and bring on the big bad villain. Like, you're not going to go see Magneto or Thanos or some big bad villain come in on these little Disney Plus shows. Marvel's going to save that kind of stuff for the big movies, but they will tease all that. Remember, what happened in WandaVision? She didn't go fight Mephisto or some big, crazy entity. She fought another witch on her level. What did Falcon do? Falcon fought some little girl with some super soldier serum. I mean, they're not going to give them their big bad. So no, I don't think Kang the Conqueror is going to be in there. I do think it's a variant because it's a very interesting way to not only continue the theme of variants, because that's what they've been doing all this time, but it's also a character that is expendable, right? So if you do a character like a variant of Kang the Conqueror, Loki can kill him or defeat him or whatever, and it's not a big deal because it's just a variant. So I think that's more the route they'll go, and it's a perfect way to just introduce Jonathan Majors into the MCU, but at the same time, if you know there's a Kang the Conqueror variant, and if we know Jonathan Majors is going to be Kang the Conqueror, then that's all the tease you need for the movie where Kang the Conqueror is going to appear in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. And oh my gosh, look, that Loki pruning caught me completely off guard. Didn't see it coming. Threw me for a whole loop because I'm sitting here thinking like the Mobius one was a big deal. This one just blew me away. And I'm sitting here thinking like, oh my God, Marvel, did you just kill off your main character with 2 episodes left? No, come on, Marvel. Y'all don't have the guts to do that. There's no way you guys will kill off the main character in his own story and leave it in the hands of their supporting characters. Come on now. Marvel, you wouldn't do that. Right? We jump to a post-credit scene with Loki waking up and thinking that he's in hell. To his surprise, he has a group of variant Loki standing over him, looking like they're about to drop the hottest rap album this coming November. Wow. Okay, yes. Now, this is exactly what I was hoping for. You know, and I knew we was going to get more Lokis, but I didn't know we were going to get them this soon or like this. But I am here for it. Take a look at this. We got Kid Loki, Old School Loki in the classic costume, Alligator Loki, and Black Loki? Now, I know that he's referred to as Boastful Loki, but he's a brother. I'm going to call him Brokey. Man, we got a whole bunch of Lokis coming for the next episode, and I am super pumped. Man, let's go Loki gang gang. But what an interesting reveal. So now we know that pruning doesn't actually delete people from existence. If anything, it may just reset them, as was previously stated in the series. We still don't know exactly what that means though. Maybe when you get reset, you become a TVA agent. Or maybe you go back to the time that you were originally from. Maybe you're tossed into some weird limbo where these other Lokis happen to be. Did Mobius get sent back to his original time or reality? Or maybe he's in another type of limbo. Maybe he got reset and he's back in the TVA with a freshly wiped memory. And of course, like in the last breakdown, what did I say about the Lokis coming together? I would love to see them all come up, gang up, you know, and go take down the TVA in like just some bum rush. I don't know how many variants there are. I'm hoping it's like a whole army of them or something. But I think it is going to be a fun episode next time around. We already saw the images of Loki, you know, I don't know, running for president or something. So I'm thinking that this is really just Loki trying to become the superior Loki amongst all these other Lokis. Anyway, what did you think about this episode? And what do you think is going to happen in the next episode? Ladies and gentlemen, we only have 2 episodes left in Loki. I know some people were feeling down about episode 3, but like I said, I think that it was just really set up for different elements of what's going to happen later on. And I'm hoping we don't get no repeat of episode 3 now that we only got 2 episodes left. At this point, you need to go out with a bang. I'm also curious, how would you rate this episode on a scale from 1 to 10? Let me know what you think. Anyway, that's all I have for today. Thank you all so much for taking the time to watch my videos. Really, really do appreciate it. Do not forget, Wednesdays, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time or 8 p.m. Eastern Time, I am going to go live. This is where we do our live reaction the day that the Loki episodes come out. And we all come together. We have a good, no, not even good. We have a great time, a fantabulous time talking about the Loki episodes and reacting, all talking about spoilers and everything. It is a good time. You do not want to miss it. I'm trying to tell you, it is such fun. Anyway, if you're new here, please feel free to go check out some of my other videos. Subscribe to the channel if you like what you see. Give this video a thumbs up and hit that bell so you don't miss out on the next time I drop a video. In the meantime, I've got more videos and reviews to do for you all, and until next time, I'll see you all later.